I stared at my own reflection in the powder room mirror of that godforsaken McMansion in Greenwich, Connecticut. But the eyes staring back weren't mine. They were hers. Cold and calculating, like a shark sizing up chum. My hands, now slender and manicured with that signature blood-red polish she loved, trembled as I adjusted the diamond necklace that used to choke my neck like a noose of false promises. At the baby's shower 6 months ago, she dropped the bomb that shattered my world. She'd fucked every man I'd ever dated, including my husband, the father of the son kicking inside me right then, and the room full of our fake smiling family had gone dead silent while I bled out internally. But that was before the swap, before I slipped into her skin like a ghost in a stolen dress, ready to burn her empire to the ground from the inside. It started with a champagne flute shattering against the hardwood floor, the sound like a gunshot in that suffocating bubble of forced joy. My baby shower, my goddamn celebration of new life in the midst of our family's annual summer roast in the Hamptons, transplanted to this sterile Connecticut estate because my swollen ankles couldn't handle the beach anymore. Willow Harper, 32, 8 months pregnant, the good daughter, the reliable one, the one who'd clawed her way through Yale on scholarships while my sister, Evangeline, Evie to her sycophants, partied on daddy's dime and landed a corner office at Goldman Sachs by 28. The table was a Pinterest fever dream, tiers of macarons in baby blue, a diaper cake taller than my belly, and Aunt Millie's crystal punch bowl sloshing with mimosa that nobody touched because half the guests were teetotaling evangelicals from Mom's side. Evie swept in late, as always, in a white sundress that hugged her like it was painted on, her blonde waves bouncing like she owned gravity. She air-kissed me, her knocked-up sister, and cooed over the ultrasound printouts propped against a cake.
Oh, Will.
You look radiant. Motherhood suits you. Almost makes up for. She trailed off with that laugh. The one that tinkled like wind chimes in a serial killer's basement. The room, 20 women crammed into Mom's sunroom, chattering about Montessori waitlists and Tesla upgrades, hushed as Evie clinked her glass with a spoon, commandeering the moment like she did every family event. Ladies, she said, her voice honey-dipped venom, before we dive into these adorable onesies, I have a toast. To Willow, my dear sister, who's always been the moral compass in this family. Remember that time in college when she dated Jake the lacrosse captain?
Sweet Jake.
Who ghosted her after one too many no's.
Well.
Guess who scooped him up the next weekend? Giggles rippled. Nervous. Obligatory. Evie's eyes locked on mine, sparkling with malice. Or, how about Mark from law school? The one who proposed and then bailed when she wouldn't quit her noble public defender gig for his Wall Street dreams? I helped him see reason. And don't get me started on Tyler, the artist type she dragged to Thanksgiving. Turns out, he painted a very different picture with me. My fork clattered against the plate. The mimosa in my glass turned to battery acid. Aunt Millie gasped, hand to her pearls. But Evie wasn't done. She leaned forward, her smile widening like a fissure in the earth. And let's not forget Ethan, my brother-in-law, the golden boy pediatric surgeon. Who do you think warmed his bed during those late shifts while Willow was buried in case files? Every man she's ever loved. Ladies, I've had them. It's my little family tradition. Keeps things honest. The room imploded in whispers. Then silence, thick as tar. Mom's face drained to the color of the linen napkins, her mouth opening and closing like a landed fish. My best friend Laura, who'd flown in from Chicago, reached for my hand, but I yanked it away. the ultrasound photo crumpling in my fist. Ethan wasn't even there. He was on call at Yale New Haven, saving some kid's life while his own was gutted by my sister's confession. I felt the baby kick. Hard. Like he knew his aunt was a serpent uncoiling in our nest. "You bitch," I whispered,
but it came out as a croak.
Evie just tilted her head, feigning innocence.
"Oh, Will.
Don't be dramatic. It's all in the past."
You're married now."
To my sloppy seconds. Laughter erupted then, braying, uncomfortable. From the cousins who'd always envied her. From the friends who'd whispered that I was the boring one. I bolted, waddling as fast as my belly allowed, locking myself in the powder room while the party devolved into a circus of damage control. That night, curled on the guest room futon because I couldn't bear to sleep in the master with Ethan's side cold and accusing, I scrolled through old texts. Evie and Jake, flirty emojis from 2008. Evie and Mark, hotel receipts I'd once found crumpled in her purse, blamed on a work trip. Tyler's Instagram, archived posts of them in Paris. The trip I'd begged Ethan to take me on for our honeymoon, but he'd been too busy. And Ethan.
God.
The voicemails I'd deleted, thinking they were spam, her voice. Sultry. "Miss you already? Doc. Come back to bed." It wasn't just sex. It was sabotage. Every time I'd opened up, trusted, built something fragile, she'd slithered in and torched it.
Why?
Because Evie was the sun in our family orbit, Daddy's princess, Mom's confidant, the one who got the trust fund, the Hamptons shares, the effortless charm that made men orbit her like drunk satellites. I was the shadow, the do-gooder defending pro bono cases in Bridgeport while she closed billion-dollar deals. But this, announcing it at my baby shower, that was war. The next morning, Ethan came home reeking of hospital antiseptic and lies. "Willow, it's not true. She's lying to hurt you." But his eyes darted. And when I showed him the texts, hacked from her cloud backup, because fuck privacy in a betrayal this biblical, he crumbled. It was once. After that merger stress. She seduced me. I swear. It's you I love.
Once.
The word lodged in my throat like a fishbone.
Ipexabate.
Called Lara for a lifeline in the city. And left him weeping on the porch. But as I drove the Merritt Parkway toward Manhattan, the baby fluttering like a trapped bird, rage crystallized. Evie had stolen my past. I wouldn't let her touch my future. That's when I remembered Dr. Harlan Voss. Voss was a ghost from Evie's world, a neuroscientist she'd dated briefly in med school. The one who'd vanished after a scandal involving experimental therapies at a black site lab in New Jersey. I'd met him once. At a family gala. His eyes gleaming with that mad scientist fervor as he rambled about neural mapping and consciousness transfer. Imagine, he'd slurred over scotch, slipping into another's mind, wearing their thoughts like a second skin. Evie had dumped him when the funding dried up, calling him a crackpot behind his back. But I'd kept his card, tucked in my wallet like a talisman. Because in my line of work defending the marginalized, I knew crackpots sometimes held the keys to justice. I found him in a dingy warehouse off the turnpike, the kind of place where Jersey mobsters once laundered cash, now retrofitted with humming servers and flickering holograms. Voss looked like he'd aged 30 years in 10, gaunt, wild-haired, chain-smoking in a hazmat suit. "Willow Harper," he rasped, recognizing me from that gala photo still pinned to his corkboard. Evangeline's plainer sibling. What brings the saint to my sinner's den? I told him everything. The words spilling like vomit, the shower, the men, the husband who'd betrayed me for her shadow. Voss listened, nodding, his eyes lighting up not with pity, but possibility. "And you want revenge," he said. "Not a question. Not the courtroom kind. Something biblical." He led me to the chamber, a glass pod like something out of a bad sci-fi flick. Wired to an MRI machine jury-rigged with quantum entanglement bullshit he swore was real. "It's not magic," he explained, jabbing a syringe of nanite-lace serum into my fore. "It's science. We map your neural signature, entangle it with hers via a shared artifact, something intimate, like a lock of hair or a blood sample. Then, with the right trigger, a synchronized electromagnetic pulse, we swap. Consciousness transfer. You wake up in her body, she in yours." I laughed, hysteria bubbling. "And the baby? My life. The swap's temporary. Reversible with another dose. But during, you're her. She wakes up pregnant, alone, in your crumbling apartment in Brooklyn, while you stroll into her penthouse on the Upper East Side, board meetings and black cards at your fingertips." His grin was feral. "Think of it as poetic justice. She gets to feel the weight of what she's sown." It was insane. Unethical. Probably illegal under every FDA guideline. But as the serum burned through my veins, visions flashing, Evie in my wedding dress. Laughing, Evie in Ethan's arms. Moaning, I nodded. "Do it." The world dissolved into white noise, a migraine splitting my skull. When I woke, strapped to a gurney in Voss's lair, I retched, tasting bile and mint, Evie's favorite toothpaste. My hands, her hands, fluttered to my face, tracing high cheekbones, full lips. I stumbled to the mirror, and there she was, Evangeline Harper, 28 forever, staring back with my eyes. My old body, swollen, exhausted, lay comatose in the corner pod, monitor beeping steadily. Voss handed me a burner phone. "She's waking up now. In your Brooklyn walk-up. No wallet. No ID, just a note. Welcome to my life. Trigger the reversal when you're ready. Or don't." I dressed in her clothes, silk blouse, pencil skirt that fit like a glove, and slipped into her life like a thief in the night. The drive to Manhattan in her leased Porsche was euphoric, wind whipping my stolen hair. Her doorman nodded deferentially, her assistant buzzed with a 9 a.m. client call. By noon, I was Evie Harper, closing a derivatives deal worth 8 figures, while the real her, trapped in my body, faced eviction notices and a belly full of my regrets. But revenge isn't a sprint, it's a slow bleed. I started small. Cancelled her standing mani-pedi, let her roots show gray at the temples. Vanity was her armor. Then, I dug. Her laptop. Password, Daddy Dearest 69, spilled secrets like a confessional. Emails to Daddy. Forging my performance reviews at the firm to make me look incompetent, justifying her inheritance grab. Bank transfers, hundreds of thousands siphoned from family trusts into offshore accounts under my name, framing me as the embezzler when the audit hit. And the worst, the hidden run.
10 years ago.
Drunk on prom night champagne, Evie had mowed down a pedestrian in Darien, a single mom, Maria Gonzalez, leaving 2 kids orphaned. I'd taken the fall. Perjury coached by family lawyers. Because Harper girls don't go to jail. My juvie record sealed it. Hers stayed pristine. She'd stolen my innocence. My men. my future, and pinned a dead woman's blood on me.
Now.
In her skin, I felt the weight of it all. A phantom ache where the baby used to be. Our son, was safe with Laura. But every kick I'd felt was a ghost now, haunting this borrowed shell. The first week in Evie's body was a masterclass in her poison. Her calendar was a war zone, power lunches with hedge fund vultures, spin classes where instructors fawned like serfs, and nightly networking at Le Cuckoo that always ended with some tech bros tongue down my throat. I played the part, flirty quips, calculated laughs, while inside, Willow screamed. But I learned her tells, the way she'd bite her lip before lying, the micro-twitch in her left eye when cornered. Useful. For what came next. I reached out to Ethan via her phone. A casual text, "Missed you last night." Dinner?
He bit.
Of course, guilt or lust. Who cared? We met at his favorite speakeasy in Soho. Dim-lit with velvet booths and bartenders who memorized your poison. He slid in beside me, mistaking me for her, his hand on my knee like it belonged there. "Evie," he murmured, breath whiskey sour. "About Willow." I ended it. For us.
Us.
The word was a gut punch, even in this stranger skin. I let him kiss me, tasting betrayal like ash, then pulled back with her signature pout. "Baby, there's something you should know." Lies tumbled easy in her voice, about complications with the pregnancy. How Willow was unstable, ranting about conspiracies. I planted seeds. Text to his phone from concerned friends, burner accounts I'd set up. Anonymous tips to his hospital HR about inappropriate relationships with family. By week's end, Ethan was suspended pending investigation, his golden career tarnished. I watched from her penthouse balcony, floor-to-ceiling views of Central Park like a kingdom at my feet, as cop cars idled outside his brownstone. Catharsis? A drop in the ocean.
Evie, meanwhile,
was unraveling in my old life. Voss's updates were gold, her pounding on my super's door at 3 a.m., belly protruding, demanding my car keys, the ER visit when contractions hit early, false labor. Thank God. But enough to terrify her porcelain soul. She keeps screaming about body snatchers. Voss chuckled over the phone. Thinks it's a nightmare. Poetic. No. But power corrupts. Even borrowed. Evie's Rolodex was a Pandora's box. Senators on speed dial. CEOs who owed her favors. I could have ridden this wave forever. Why swap back to crumbs when I could feast? Late nights. Scrolling her DMs. I found Jake, now a venture capitalist in San Francisco, begging for a reunion. Mark, the ex-fiancé, emailing from his judgeship in Albany. Evie, one mistake doesn't define us. Temptation whispered. Why not keep them? String them along. Make them pay twice.
No.
Focus. The real target was Daddy. Robert Harper, steel magnate turned philanthropist. The patriarch who'd built our gilded cage. His office in Midtown was a fortress of mahogany and malice. But as Evie, I waltzed in unannounced. Dad, I purred, perching on his desk like she would. We need to talk about Willow. He steepled his fingers, silver hair gleaming under the desk lamp. What's she done now? That stunt at the shower? Unforgivable. But family sticks.
Evie.
Always. I leaned in, channeling her whisper. It's worse. She's been skimming from the foundation. I found the accounts. Lies. Of course. Transfers I'd fabricated overnight. Routing my old salary into dummy ledgers traced to Brooklyn. Daddy's face hardened. That old-school wasp fury. Christ. After everything we've covered for her.
Covered.
The word ignited me. Like the Gonzalez case? You buried that for me.
Dad.
Willow took the heat because she's expendable. The help's daughter. Remember Mom's affair with the gardener?
But now?
She's unraveling. Threatening to go public. His eyes narrowed. Calculating. By sundown, he'd frozen my assets, her assets, citing fiduciary concerns, and dispatched private investigators to my doorstep.
Evie.
Trapped in my body, faced PI shadows tailing her to prenatal yoga. Whispers of conservatorship if she cracked. Voss reported her breakdown, clawing at the mirror, convinced she was losing her mind, begging Ethan for help only to get a restraining order in reply. I escalated. At the next board meeting, Evie as the star closer, I accidentally leaked a memo. Projections doctor to show insider trading ties to a Russian oligarch she'd betted last quarter. Whispers turned to shouts. The SEC knocked by noon. Her golden parachute?
Yanked.
Partners circled like hyenas. One texting under the table. Sorry.
Eve.
Dog eat dog. Nights blurred into a haze of her vices. Lines of coke at after parties. Anonymous hookups in hotel suites where I'd wake sweating. Her memories bleeding into mine. Flashes of Maria Gonzalez's brake lights in the rain. The thud that ended a life. Guilt? Mine. Not hers.
But it fueled me.
I visited myself under cover of night. Voss's van idling in an alley near my brownstone. She, Evie in my skin, paced the living room, hand on the belly that wasn't hers. Eyes wild. Willow, if that's you, give it back.
Please.
I can't. This thing inside me. I watched through the window, heart twisting. Feel it yet? I murmured to the glass. The weight? The fear? That's what you gave me. She collapsed then, sobbing. And I drove away, the Porsche's engine roaring like laughter. But cracks formed. Laura called me, calling me, voice laced with worry.
Will.
The baby's coming early. Doctors say stress. Where are you? I hung up, pulse hammering. Ethan's suspension lifted, but he was distant, drowning in depositions. And Daddy? He summoned Evie for a heart-to-heart at the club in Rye. Over crab cakes and club soda. He dropped the bomb. We're cutting Willow out. Full disinheritance. You handle the announcement. My fork paused midair. This was it, the kill shot. But as I nodded, her smile on my face, a whisper nagged. Was I becoming her? The swap was eroding boundaries. Voss warned of neural bleed, memories merging like oil and water. Last night, I dreamed of the hit and run from her eyes, terror, not remorse. What if I couldn't swap back? What if Willow vanished inside Evangeline? I pushed it down. Revenge first. The family summit was set for the weekend at the Hamptons estate, the same beach house where Evie had first stolen Jake. Drunk on stolen gin. I'd end it there. Expose everything, the affairs, the frame-ups, the murder cover. Invite the press. The Gonzalez kids, now teens, orphaned by her whim. Watch her empire crumble under the weight of truth. But on Friday, as I packed her Louis Vuitton for the drive east, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Willow. It's Voss. Complication. The entanglement's destabilizing. If you don't reverse by Sunday, it's permanent. Her mind's fighting back, stronger than yours.
Permanent.
The word echoed like a slammed door. I glanced at the mirror. her beauty mocking me. Who was I without the skin? The good sister? Or the vengeful ghost? The baby my baby due any day, growing in a body that wasn't mine. I typed back. One more day. The Hamptons Road unspooled under tires that hummed with borrowed luxury. But dread coiled in my gut. Evie had always won because she played dirty. Now, in her body, I was dirty too. Controversial? Hell. This was felony territory, assault with a PhD. But justice wasn't clean. It was a street fight in stilettos. The estate loomed like a white whale on the dunes. All clabbered and privilege, the Atlantic crashing below like applause for the damned. Daddy's chopper worked overhead as I pulled up, Evie arriving fashionably late. Of course, and the staff scurried with chilled rose and heirloom tomatoes.
Inside.
The air was thick with old money, Persian rugs muffling footsteps, portraits of Harpers glowering from gilt frames. Mom fluttered about in pearls, avoiding my eyes. She'd always known, suspected the affairs, the cover-ups, but silence was her love language. Evie, darling, she trilled, pecking my cheek. Willow's not coming. Thank God. That scene at the shower, unhinged. Unhinged. The words stung, even through the armor of her face. I smiled, tight, and excused myself to the powder room, same marble vanity where I'd retched mimosa months ago. Staring at her reflection, I practiced. It's me, Willow. She's the liar. But the words died. Voss's warning echoed. Neural bleed. Whose voice was that? Anyway, dinner was a minefield. Daddy at the head, carving ribeye with surgical precision, monologuing about tariffs while Evie nodded, interjecting zingers about those socialist Dems ruining the game. The Gonzalez file burned in my clutch, affidavits from the PI I'd hired on her dime. Crime scene photos Voss had procured from sealed records. And the invite, anonymous email to page 6. Exclusive, Harper heiress's dark past. They'd bite. Scandal was catnip in this town. Post-prong. The real players arrived, cousins in Lily Pulitzer. Uncle Ted with his third wife half his age. And, surprise, Ethan. Daddy had flown him in for family unity. He cornered me on the veranda, cigarette glowing in the twilight. His scrubs swapped for chinos that hung loose. Evie, about the leak. Was that you, trying to hurt her more? I exhaled smoke. Her vice. Not mine buying time. Hurt, darling. Willow's the architect of her own hell. You know that. His face crumpled. And for a heartbeat, pity flickered for her, the villain. I pressed. Remember that night in the on-call room? She was late again. Always late. Lies layered on half-truths. He recoiled, but didn't leave. Progress. Midnight found me in her old bedroom, canopy bed, faded equestrian ribbons, the ocean's roar a lullaby for the wicked. I texted Voss. Ready the reversal.
Dawn.
But sleep evaded, dreams merged, my wedding vows with Ethan's. Her fingers tracing his spine. The Darien road slick with rain. Maria's scream echoing my unborn son's heartbeat. I woke sweating. Her silk sheets twisted like restraints. Saturday dawned brutal, hurricane remnants lashing the shore. Waves gnashing like teeth. The family brunch dragged, quiches and quinoa. Small talk about Ivanka's latest tweet. Then, the doorbell, reporters. Sleek and starving. Badges flashing Vanity Fair. The Post. Daddy blustered. Security, herding them to the drive. But I'd greased palms, Evie's black card worked wonders. Mr. Harper, the lead journo called. All teeth. Care to comment on the hit-and-run allegations against your daughter Evangeline? The Gonzalez family wants justice. Chaos erupted. Mom swooned into a wicker chair. Uncle Ted choked on his Bloody Mary. Daddy's face went volcanic. Rounding on me, no.
On Evie.
What the hell is this? I stood, heart pounding in her ribcage, and let it rip. It's true, Dad. I killed her. Drunk. Stupid. And you covered it. Framed Willow, the sister you called expendable because Mom's affair made her a bastard in your eyes.
She went to juvie for me.
Took the record that killed her law career dreams. And the men? Just the cherry on the shit sundae. Gasps rippled. Ethan's fork clattered. But Daddy recovered fast. That boardroom steal.
Lies.
Evangeline would never. A phone buzzed mine. Voss. Incoming. She's escaped. Escaped? My blood iced. Cut to the chase. Evie. In my body. Waddling through the dunes. Flanked by Daddy's security. Loyal to the heir apparent. Not the imposter. She'd pieced it together. Voss's nightmare turning lucid. They burst in through the French doors. Rain slick and feral. My belly leading like a battering ram. Willow, she shrieked. Voice mine, but laced with her fury. You fucking freak. Give me back my body. The room froze. Reporters scribbled furiously. I lunged, controversial.
Yes.
8 months pregnant or not, but she swung. A wild haymaker that caught my jaw. Her borrowed weight toppling us into the credenza. China shattered. Blood welled from my lip, her lip. Security hauled us apart. But not before she spat. She's insane. Thinks she's me. Somebody drugged her. Daddy's eyes darted. Calculating. Mom wailed. Ethan stared. Horror dawning. The twist hit like a rogue wave. Voss's serum wasn't just transfer, it was mirror. Evie's mind, fighting back, had uploaded countermeasures. Flashes assaulted me, her memories dominating, boardroom conquests, Daddy's pride, the rush of power. I staggered, vision blurring.
No.
It's me. Willow. She framed me for murder. Stole my life, my husband. But the reporters turned. MS. Harper. Care to explain the body swap claims? Evie. Playing victim in my skin. Sobbed convincingly. It's a breakdown. Postpartum delusion or something. Call the cops. Sirens wailed distant. Daddy nodded to his men. Cuffs clicked on my wrists, her wrists, as they dragged me to the squad car. Evangeline, he murmured. Hand on her, my shoulder. We'll fix this. Family first. The jail cell in East Hampton smelled of bleach and despair. A far cry from her penthouse. Voss bailed me out at dawn, false ID. Cash under the table, but the damage was nuclear. Page 6 blared. Harper heiress in heir apparent brawl. Pregnant sister's shocking rant. Evie. Ensconced back in her body. Reversal triggered remotely by Voss during the melee. Played the martyr. Press conference Monday. Tearful about mental health struggles. Funneling foundation cash to sister support NGOs. Daddy spun the hidden run as youthful mistake. Settled out of court with the Gonzalezes. Hush money and a scholarship fund. My name, Willows, buried in footnotes. The patsy, once more. Ethan filed for divorce that week. Citing irreconcilable madness. The baby, my son, born in a Brooklyn hospital amid CPS whispers, went to Lara's custody battle. Evie's lawyers painting me as unfit. I holed up in Voss's warehouse. Her beauty fading without her trainers and serums. Neural bleed leaving me half-haunted.
Who was I?
Willow. The betrayed? Or Evie? The destroyer reborn? Months later. I watched from a dive bar in Newark. Cheap beer. Mets game droning. As Evie married a senator's son on page 6. Her gown a middle finger to my ruins. Daddy's will leaked. Her. Sole heir, me. A pittance for therapy. Justice? Twisted into farce. But in the quiet hours, when her echoes faded, I plotted anew. Revenge isn't one swap, it's a cycle. Voss had prototypes, improved,
Permanent. Next time.
I'd take her soul, not just her skin. Or maybe I'd let it go. Be Willow again. Raise my boy in anonymity. Let karma's slow grind do the work. Controversial endings. Do monsters deserve mercy? Or just the mirror they made? You decide. Epilogue?
No.
This tale doesn't tie neat bows. It's American Gothic. Frayed edges and all. 6 months post-swap. I was a specter in Jersey shadows. Waitressing doubles at a diner off I-95. Tips greasy as the hash browns. Voss vanished, funding cut. Fed sniffing his therapies, leaving me with a vial of reversal serum and a brain half-wired for Wall Street whispers. Evie's life? A glossy veneer. Instagram reels of brunches and Birkins. But cracks showed in the DMs I'd hacked one last time. Ethan ghosted her post-wedding. Daddy's health tanked. Prostate cancer gnawing like regret. And the baby, my Elias. Named for a grandfather who never existed. Thrived with Laura. His first steps video sent like contraband. But the twist? The real reversal wasn't tech. It was blood. Maria Gonzalez's daughter. Sophia, now 20. A poli-sci major at Fordham, tracked me down via a cold case podcast I'd anonymously tipped. MS. Harper, she said over diner coffee. Eyes fierce like her mother's. I know what your sister did. And what you did for us. Taking the fall.
How?
The PIs I'd hired pre-swap had left trails, Voss's files. Seized in a raid. Spilled neural logs proving the frame. Sophia wasn't vengeful. She was strategic. We sue. Together. Expose the Harpers. Make them pay for mom. For your kid. For everything. Controversial? Hell yes. Teaming with the victim spawn, against my own blood, blood that wasn't mine anymore. Tainted by Evie's sins. We filed in federal court. Manhattan. Class action style. Wrongful death. Fraud. Conspiracy. Daddy's lawyers swarmed, slime balls in $1,000 suits, but Sophia's evidence was ironclad. Dashcam footage Voss had buried. My juvie testimony unsealed via appeal. Evie testified. Porcelain cracking under cross. It was an accident. Willow's unstable. She confessed to worse. The jury, blue-collar holdouts from Queens, didn't buy it. Verdict. 50 mil to the Gonzalezes. My record expunged. Custody reinstated. Daddy died mid-appeal. Will contested into oblivion. Evie got pennies. Exiled to a Palm Beach condo with a trust fund trickle. She called once. Voice slurry with gin. You win.
Sis.
But was it worth it? Becoming me. I hung up. Elias gurgling on my hip. His eyes mine. Not hers, sparkling innocent. Worth it? The swap scarred me. Nightmares of her conquests. A stutter when stressed. Trust shattered like that champagne flute. A happy ending? Debatable. I got my son. My name cleared. But freedom's price was a fractured soul. Evie's rotting in irrelevance. But monsters don't die. They metastasize.
Now.
In a modest rancher outside Philly, Lara's spare room turned nursery. I write this. First-person confessional for no one but ghosts. If you're reading, ask, would you swap skins for justice? Burn the bridge to reclaim your fire? Or let the serpent slither free, hoping the ocean swallows her whole? America's dark heart beats in choices like these, raw, unfiltered, eternally contested. And me, Willow Harper, reclaimed but forever changed, toasts to the chaos, to the women we bury, the lives we steal back. Cheers.